Okay. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We're happy to bring you TPJ Moms Live this Sunday, 2nd of August. And with me in the studio are Dr. Mobala Jeffries and our very special guest, Glory Edwards. This afternoon, we're going to be talking about the Supermum. And before some of you dive for cover or run away or start thinking of the Proverbs 31 woman, we will be demystifying all that with our guest answering a couple of questions. So I'll just do a quick introduction. Her name is Glory Edwards, Mrs. Glory Edwards. She's married with 2 children. And one huge reason why she's here is because she's a trailblazer. So apart from her BSc, she has a master's in aquatic pathobiology, as well as an MSc in climate change, development and policy. But at the moment, she's actually working towards her PhD in environmental sciences, specifically environmental systems analysis. She's a Christian, obviously, and a member of Thy Precious Jewels. And we're happy to have her here this afternoon. So we'll be talking to her because basically this path she's chosen is one that is not a very common path, and how she's been able to do that with children, with a husband, with other commitments in church and in her community. So without wasting much time, we'll just thank you so much, Glory, for joining us this afternoon. Can
Thank
you
you,
tell us a
Toyin.
bit about yourself and your journey to doing a PhD?
Thank you so much for the warm welcome. It's really a great honor to be in this session with you today. So you've said a lot. I think basically you've summarized everything about me. So my journey to doing a PhD, from my undergraduate days, I've known that I have such some academic prowess, some love for academic, and I would love to go further my education into postgraduate study, into research. So I actually wanted to read something else, not fisheries, but then I was offered fisheries in the University of Benin. But after I was offered fisheries and after a series of talks and thinking and praying, I decided to stick with fisheries. So at that point, I started to reach out to professors in the US, all over the world, World Fisheries Organization, aquaculture organizations. And one of them responded to me and showed me the potential of my course of study and what I could do research in it. I could impact my society, impact the field of science and all of that. So from that, from right then in my 100 level, I started to really see the future and think about doing postgraduate research and I just started to carve this future. As my classmates used to say then that they said, Glory, you always mention that you would like to work with international organizations, you would like to do your research abroad and all of that. So really it was at this early stage I started to carve a path for myself in academia. So as I continued in that, I knew that since I wanted an academic career, I needed to really focus in school. And I came out with a good grade and just it was like the next step going to do a master's and that was how my journey to a PhD started. So I was really in aquatic pathobiology, as you stated. But after the course, that was when I had my first baby, and it was quite tedious and all of that. And I did very well in that course, but I decided to take some online courses after while I was nursing my baby at home. So that was when I stumbled across climate change, and I decided to do another master's degree in climate change. On doing that in a different university, I completed that, and afterwards, it was like straight away to a PhD. So that's really like the summary of my academic career, and I can really say that it starts from that inner desire to do research. You Many women just know they want to study more, they want to go to more school, they want to do postgraduate research. So if that desire is there, then women should not just shut it up. It's there for a purpose. So yeah, I'll stop here as a brief summary of my academic journey so far.
Thank you. That's very interesting. And I like how you say, if the desire is there, you just follow it. You don't stop it. But I want to ask a question. Was there any point in time where you thought of throwing in the towel and you said, it's a bit difficult combining all this?
Yes, yes, yes. Like not even 1 point, several points. Even as I started my PhD, there are times I'm like, who, Glory, who sent you? Are you sure you can manage this? It's not, if I even say it happened last month, it would seem like I'm being absurd. But throughout my whole journey, especially with having children and a family, there are times that I'm like, I'm not sure I can do this. I'm not sure. PhD is it's like a marathon. It's beyond intelligence. It needs your emotional, you have to be part of it. It needs emotional resilience. So there are times that I'm like, Charlie, in the first year of my PhD, it was really, really tough for me. We just moved into a new country, and my daughter was still under the school age. So I had to think of childcare. Then I was looking for friends to keep her. Then I had some trips to Thailand, a trip to Berlin, Göttingen. So this many things. Sometimes I'm like, Gloria, pushing yourself too much? Are you not being too ambitious? Can you not just be ordinary? And so it's really like I've had several of these points where I really wanted to throw in the towel. And also, when I went for my first master's program, I just moved from a tropical region to a temperate region. So imagine the change in temperature. And I was pregnant, my first pregnancy. It was so many firsts in my life. It was even my first flight from Nigeria to London, was my first ever flight. So, and then I was in my first trimester. And then I was going to a course that was very intensive. It was the first time I was going to use so many instruments in the lab. Although I made the first class in Nigeria, but I was even some microscope, I didn't know how to use them. So at this point, I'm like, can you do this? There are so many points you meet on the way to actualizing your dream of pursuing an academic career, of doing a PhD, your research and all of that. You meet some points that you think, can this move forward? So I think all through the time when I was going for my second master's, I found out I was expecting my second baby. And I'm like, Glory, what is it with you and babies and school? And it's quite difficult when you're juggling pregnancy, family, and all of that. So try saying that you want to throw in the towel is very normal. It's very normal to feel that way. Anything you want to do, they say a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. But I tell you, it really does not begin with the step. It begins like 1,000 miles. It begins like 500 miles. When you have come like halfway the journey, that's when you really need to push it forward to get to the finish line. So that is when it's like I should just go back. I should just go back. I should end this journey here. So it's very normal to feel like this is too much for me, to feel overwhelmed, to feel sometimes frustrated. It's very normal to have those emotions, and we should be aware of them, how these emotions are coming up, and where what is causing all these triggers. Because all these feelings of overwhelm, frustration are triggered by something. So it's okay to notice these emotions and then trace what is causing this trigger so you can handle them properly.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing. Yes, and I can imagine that, your success thus far would not be, you wouldn't be able to speak this boldly if you did not have your husband's support and contribution. So how instrumental would you say he has been to your journey so far?
Yeah. uh, I would want to give a percentage, but I can't do that. So uh, just as you said, there are times you are high in spirits. There are times you are low in spirits. Like you mentioned, is there a time you want to throw in the towel? There are times you feel very motivated. There's this intrinsic motivation. I can do this. I will do this. I will write this paper. I'm going to complete this paper. There are times you have the intrinsic motivation. There are times you are just really down there emotionally. And as I explained, an academic pursuit, it takes more than intelligence. It requires emotional resilience as well. So that's why my husband has been super supportive. You know, when we before we even got married, I discussed my dreams with him. I would like to do this. I would like to do that. I had really wild dreams as a young girl because I also, like to speak with people who had gone ahead of me. So I saw lots of possibilities, and I discussed all of this with my husband. So there are many times I want to draw back. I want to give up. It reminds me of my why. It reminds me of why I'm doing this, why we are doing that. So my husband has been really supportive, and in helping me with that emotional resilience to keep going when it feels like things are really flat out emotionally. And also, practically, like right now, you might ask, where are my kids? They are with my husband, they are with their daddy. He has to keep them. There are moments like this. I have a meeting with a supervisor. I have some research partners in Asia, and they're in a different time zone. Sometimes you have to wake up at odd hours to have a Zoom call. He has to also lose some sleep. There practically he has to be there. There are times he has to do the dishes, he has to take the kids to bed because I've worked all day, I'm just spent, and so practically a PhD, for instance, is like a family project. For every degree we've gained within our family, we see it as a family project. Even when he was pursuing his own degree, his own postgraduate degree, we see it as a family project. So as a family project, we know that this is what we want to achieve. These are the number of years it will take us to do this. And so every other thing has to shift to accommodate this because it's a family goal. So practically, one needs the support of someone to cheer you up, someone to tell you you can do this, someone to remind you of why you are doing this, someone to tell you that you are doing well, to celebrate those small wins with you. The PhD, for instance, is a 4-year program. But if you wait until the end of the 4-year program to say, yeah, I did it, I tell you, you'll be burnt out. So you need those small wins, like, oh, I read this paper, I noticed this, I sent this in. You need those really small wins to go, and you need someone to share that enthusiasm with you. So even if it's not your partner, it could be a friend, it could be your parents. Yeah, my parents also are very instrumental in telling me, yeah, go there. So it could be your parents. You need friends that understand your reality, that are either in the same path with you or are just there to give you support, a shoulder to lean on, someone you can just tell that you feel like this is how you feel, you're tired, and they can just encourage you to keep going. People to pray with you. As our mama said, who are your friends? The other day on TBJ, there was a video she did recently, who are your friends? And if you are down, or someone to pray with you and all of that. So you see, you need a support system, and a physical support system at that. You need people that sometimes you just want people to take your kids and keep them for a while, just for 30 minutes, so that you can just have some me time. So a support system is absolutely important. And even when it seems you don't have these people around you, I remember there was a time I was really like burnt out. I had lots of difficulties in childcare, and I told a friend of mine, and she said, "Have you prayed about it?" And I said, "Okay, I've not really prayed about it." And we prayed together, saying, "God should send me help," And just around someone I was not really close to, a sister around me. She's now gone back to her home country, and she's married, and she was here. Her husband was back in the home country, and I met her just in children's church, so we're not really close. And anytime I just asked her once, and she took my daughter as her own. You have to know that your kids are somewhere that someone is really taking care of them, and so she took my daughter as her own. Sometimes she will even say, bring her, let her play with me. And so I can leave my daughter there the whole day, and she say, oh, we did this together. So you need such a support system so that you can actually be creative and productive in your academic work.
Oh, thank you so much. That's really instructive. There's no way you can do this alone.
Yeah.
No way. So I'd like to direct the next question to Mama Mobi. We've heard how Glory discussed, even her goals and aspirations before she got married with her husband. What would you advise? There are a lot of women who have dreams on their hearts, but they are worried about, merging that when they get married. What advice would you give women who want to get married, want to have a family, in choosing their spouses because they also know that they want to reach the heights of their careers?
Aha. That is a very nice question. Going by what I saw on one of the TPJ subgroups in the course of the week, where the sisters were discussing about a lady who is a career woman. And then she got married, and after the wedding, her husband said, now you're pregnant, or now you're planning to get pregnant, you need to stay at home. And I will make sure that all your needs are met. And they were discussing about what to do. Would you accept? Would you not accept? The Bible says, can two work together except they be agreed? I am of the opinion that whoever you're going to marry, one of the key things you need to know is that they're traveling the way you're traveling. if you've already agreed to marry somebody and then this discussion is now taking place, you've already messed up, you've already missed it. You've given too much room for error. A lot of men are threatened. They're threatened by the fact that you're well-read. They're threatened by the fact that you're a career woman. They're threatened by the fact that you've got many more degrees than they have. They're threatened by many things. There's already enough for you to argue about and, you know, have misunderstandings about in the marriage. Sort out things that you can sort out early. Sort out things that you can sort out early. So, in the process of meeting the man, you want to find out, what does he think about being well-read? Some men just believe that, look, once you have a university degree, that is the end of it for them. They don't want anything more than that. So if you end up accepting to marry this person, you have already opened the door to serious trouble, because there is no way you're going to be able to convince them. I know of men who have told their wives, well, if you travel abroad from that master's, that is the end of this marriage. And then they make you choose between your future, okay, your career future, and a marriage. I say to people, if you're already in that position, most likely you married the wrong man. No matter what you tell me that, you know, you heard. It's not about you hearing. It is about, you know, just this is what this is. It's not you hearing at all. So back to the question. From when you meet somebody and you're starting to like them, or they're starting to like you, these are things you need to throw. You need to throw it. You need to ask, what is your view about this? What is your view about this? Do you think a woman should be well-read? Would you support your wife if your wife decided, for instance, that she wants to do postgraduates? It doesn't have anything to do with the man's, you know, academic profile himself. Some men, they may not have more than school certificate, but they want their wife in front as the one who is well-read, and they will support you to get to where you're going to. So if you think that that is the path to go, and a man is already telling you that, look, what is it? Why are you ambitious? I know some who are. They'll talk you down. They'll talk you out of it. Some will compete with you because they just have to be, you know, everything you are. They just have to be a better version of it. So all of these things are key things that you need to look into. If you're talking about this after getting married, you've already missed some steps. This needs to be considered. Before you marry somebody, before you agree to marry them, you know where you're going in life. Okay, you cannot go to the gate, to the boarding gate. You're going to Islamabad. You end up at the boarding gate for Costa Rica. No way. Okay, it saves you a lot of heartache. You're not running head, you know, all over the place at the airport, and you're sure that you're getting on the right flight. Otherwise, your destination is going to be wrong, and you will have wasted money, you have heartbreak and everything that comes with it. So my dear single sisters, if a man thinks that you're too ambitious, definitely I can tell you, he's not cut out for you. That's not your man. If he thinks you're too ambitious, he's going to be threatened by your success. He's going to fight tooth and nail to make sure that you don't get there. You don't want to be in such a relationship. That may actually be one of God's ways of telling you that you're hanging with the wrong man. Thank you. I hope that answers the question.
I believe it does. I believe it does. It's so important to ask these questions early before love has blinded blinded the eyes and the ears and the nose. God will help us, and He would help those who need to choose well, to choose right. Because one of the things I really like that, you know, Glory has emphasized is the fact that, you know, these desires were put there by God. So if you're going to explore them, you really need support as you do so. Okay. So you've actually touched on this, Glory, but I want to, just because there are some mothers who have these same kind of challenges. You are doing a PhD with children and you are not at home, you're in a foreign land where childcare is either non-existent, or if you get it, it's expensive. What have you done? I know that you've given examples of friends who've helped, but what else have helped you? You know, how else have you managed childcare?
Okay, yeah, this is really different depending on the country. When we're in the UK, it was a different ball game because childcare was all carried by you, all shelved by you. There was no government support for that. So we just had to walk around childcare and my courses. So in my first master's program, it's easier when you are pregnant. You can carry your pregnancy anywhere you are going. You go to the class. Once the baby comes, you need to start asking yourself, what do I do differently? Because your life is not the same, and you have to just accept that these are my own constraints. So that embracing your constraints is very important, because some people see it as a disadvantage, or the children are there, they are not helping me do this. But why not just see it as, I have children, so what do we do? How do I, even only I'm married, it's a different ball game. So how do I go about my affairs? So things really change. So you need to actually know this. So in the UK, my son was going to school like 2 half days or so, because even the 2 half days is going to almost £500 or so in a month. So we have to work around it. Their father, the kind of work, the time he works, the classes I attend. If I have group work, I can tell them I'll join from home. I'll contribute my part. So everybody just needs to know I have a toddler with me, and I cannot be available all the time. And that does not mean my productivity is reduced. That does not mean my performance is reduced. So this attitude that this is my life and people have to be aware of my reality will really help us. So, but in the Netherlands, in the first year when I came, I didn't even know so much about what was available. And so my daughter, who is the toddler now, was also going like 2 half days. So a time came that I saw that trying to find people to help is not feasible, because everybody is so busy. As you said, this is not my home country that I have my extended family with me. So I just had to sit down and tell myself that this is your reality. What if you were just here with your husband and your nuclear family? How would you manage your affairs? Because trying to get help from people and they're not being available or not willing to help will only just give you negative feelings and thinking, oh, nobody wants to help me and all of that. So I started to ask questions and found she could go to school 3 full days, and then the government could take part of that and give me some government support for that part of the childcare. I could pay something and the government could take the rest. But even then, I didn't say she would go to school every day. So the other 2 days I'm not going to school. I only tell my supervisory team that I can be in school these 3 days. These other 2 days I'll work from home because I have to be with my toddler. So I think being aware that you cannot really just throw, even if the childcare is available, when you have young children, you need to be with them. So you need to let your supervisory team, your program director know that I have these little children. If I need to turn in an essay, if I need to do this, this is what I have to do. If I need to, sometimes just because of my situation, I need to work weekends. So I leave, since their daddy is home on Saturday, I leave them at home with him on Saturday, and I go to the university just for some, even if it's for a few hours. There are some Sundays that from church, I'm not going home, I'm going to school just because I'm trying to meet a deadline. So these are some things you have to, looking at your context, knowing that you might not be able to pay all the childcare, keep the child Monday to Friday, which isn't even all the time healthy for the young child. The child is really a lot of time the child spends outside under formal childcare. So you need to kind of amend all of these to suit your context and work with your partner, work with your available partner and friends. Because if you feel my friends are not helping me do this, you put a sort of burden on them, and you might lose some of your relationships. So if people cannot help, it's fine. There were people that even help, and then they'll say, oh, they have problems with this, problems with that. And at a point, these are the things that weaken your emotional energy. It makes you feel like the whole PhD is becoming overwhelming and frustrated. But these are the things you have to sort out from the beginning. This is what is available as childcare. This is how much we can pay for it. These are the days we cannot pay for. If those days, what do I do? Do I work from home? Does my spouse stay at home? Some people can work 4 days a week. Some people can work 3 days a week. So some people work so much, they are not with the child. At the end of the day, they use all the money for childcare. So rather than do all of that, you are not with the child, you work so much, you use all the money for childcare. Why not say, I'm going to work just 3 days a week and stay at home and stay the other 2 days with my child? Even not just people that have like those of us that came from our home country here. There are people as well that Many women living here who are Dutch people, who are, you know, the citizens, people born and brought up here, also don't work full time. I realize that. So sometimes we put too much on ourselves and put a lot of demand on ourselves to, we want to be this product. They don't work full time. Many people work just 3 days a week. Many people don't work on Fridays just because they have young children. And when I say young children, not even children as tender as 1, 2, 3, 4 years. Some of them just children even 8 years, 9 years. But they understand that they need to spend quality time with their children, because at this young age, the child is very impressionable, and they need to spend that time with their children. So it's really like very dicey. I need to work with the context you are in to ensure that there's a harmony in your life. Your education does not suffer, your family does not suffer. Your family is paramount. The children are young, and there was a time I was saying, okay, when I get to this stage, I'll have more time for them. But I realized that I'm still on the journey, and I need to actually be with my children at this stage. At this stage, what do I need to do differently in my PhD? What do I need to do differently as a mom with young kids? So that's the question I keep asking myself. When I was pregnant, it was a different ball game. Carrying the baby with you in your womb is very different. It's very kind of more, it's easier. But even then, you have to still understand that you don't push yourself beyond the boundaries and overstress yourself. So even that, you have to embrace your constraints and know that this is my reality and I can work with it. It is possible to work with all these constraints. So I hope I've answered the question.
Fantastic. I'm learning so much, and I think one of the things I'm learning from you is the fact that you're very, permit me to say, you're very emotionally intelligent. You are aware, so it's not so much just going and just realizing one day, I have dropped so many balls, but at each stage in your life, you are checking: am I on track? Is this where I want to be? What is happening? Why? So, and it's a very good introduction to our next question. Can your success be replicated? I know you are very different. Nobody's like you, but there will be certain tips and advice that you can give for mothers who want more. So just thinking back to your journey, how you've come, the things you've said now, what stand out for you as tips that you believe other women can replicate?
Okay, first of all, you said something just now, and I would like to just point that out. Is it Toyin? I used to be workaholic. We can do it, you know. But I
Yeah,
found
it's
that
super mom.
sometimes, super mom, in quotes, sometimes I push myself too hard. I get a headache. The headache lasts 3 days. Those 3 days, academic work is not just sitting on your laptop, it's creative work. So you need, even if it's not academic work, any form of work that you need to produce output is creative work. So I found out that after pushing myself so hard, at the end of the time, I get a headache. 3 days, I'm still trying to sleep it off. I'm still trying to rest. It's like accumulated stress. So I found that self-care is queen. we are talking to mainly women. Self-care is queen. I use this acronym a lot, FLY. If you want to fly, FLY. First, love yourself. First, love yourself. As a woman, if you don't love yourself, you don't care for yourself, your family suffers. If I'm stressed, if I'm tired, I'm cranky, I'm impatient with my children, I'm carrying face for my husband, everybody knows that the home is just, everybody's feeling somehow. So I found out that self-care, if there are tips I want to give women, I've talked about embracing your constraints, seeing it as an advantage, just knowing that there's nothing wrong with me being a mother, having children, and doing my research or doing a master's program. There's nothing absurd about it. This is very normal. Be proud about it. Tell people, oh, I can't be in this meeting by this time because I have to pick my child. Let people, don't let it not be something you are ashamed of. There was a time I used to really hide the fact that I have young kids, until one of my professors told me that it's good you had your kids early. Then they grow with you. At this, you keep them entertained, they grow with you. Then you can face the career, like the career is ongoing. They saw it as kind of, it's okay. So I now found out that, yeah, when you also own your situation, that this is the situation I'm in. Like when I was pregnant, I had to tell my program director that I'm expecting a baby so and so time. So at these few weeks, I'll have to take some weeks before my due date. Let your situation be normal to you. These are some of the things children, women sometimes feel that that is so abnormal. My male counterpart have it easier on them. Some research showed that this lockdown, lesser women turned in papers to journals than men. Yeah, of course, because women are primary caregivers. So just take that as normal and try to work around that. So that's one of the tips. And ensure that you take care of yourself. Know your boundaries. Understand your body clock. That's very important. Some people will say, I'll stay with the kids all day. I'll wake up at night and then I'll study or read. Someone like me, once it's like 9 p.m., 10 p.m., you can tell the clock from my face what the number of times I'm yawning because I'm really spent out. I don't know how to stay up late at night, but then I know how to wake up early. So there are some mornings I wake up early, the kids are still in bed, and I wake up by 5 and I carry out a morning routine, then do some study, So these are some things you have to understand your body clock. What time is best for me to study? When am I at my utmost? Some people are at night, they are night owls. They wake, they can stay up and study till 2 a.m. and the next day is unaffected. But if I have to do that till 2 a.m., my next day, it means I'm not going to do anything academic during that day. So you need to really understand your body clock. You need to really know that this is who I am. This is when I love to study. This is when I'm at my best, at my optimal performance. This is when I can really bring out output. There are things you can do with kids distracting you. There are things you cannot do when there's so much noise around you. So you have to understand all these dynamics. I think it will really help women to do a SWOT analysis. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are the opportunities? What are the threats around me? So that when you do this, you are aware of everything that is going on around you. You know what your constraints are. You know how you can take care of yourself. So even talking about self-care as well, I carry out a morning routine. In the morning when I wake up, I first of all take care of myself because I found out that if you don't do that, some people this might be at night, it varies per person. So if you don't do that, you are sort of spent. You feel you've poured into other people, you've not poured into myself. So I call this the right framework. WRITE is something I coined for myself. So W stands for worship, gratitude. That moment when you wake up and funny enough, you might be surprised that many academic women, because they're trying to meet a deadline, or professional women, they don't have time to pray and to do Bible study on their own. I'm not talking of family devotion, but a time just yourself. You just play your kind of worship, just be with yourself. Many women, it's something that I've seen with many people. I speak with some women and they're like, I don't have myself, I don't know myself again, because they don't have that me time. So even during the lockdown, there were times when I just like 30 minutes, just take a walk away from family and all of that, because those things are what keep us sane in there's so much busyness. You are a mom, you are a wife, you have work, you might have business, and sometimes it feels like the whole world is on your head. So you really need some me time. So that worship, gratitude, a time that you can be grateful for the things ongoing in your life. Then the second one is reflection. The R is reflection. The time I study my Bible, look at devotions, you use YouVersion, listen to Possessing the Gate, whatever you might be doing, prayer. These are the times I do all these things. Then I is intention. If you don't set your intention for the day, I tell you, the day will go by washing plates, washing pots, arranging the house, sweeping these children. You give them biscuits, the biscuit is all over the house. Cookies, so you really need to set an intention. Another importance of an intention is that it helps you celebrate small wins. Like you say, this week I'm going to do this thing. So at the end of the week, you know that I've done it. It motivates you that, oh, I'm trying, I'm doing something. But if you are waiting until you finish one big paper or one journal, you might never really see that you are making progress, no matter how small. So setting your intention for the day. Of course, when you have little children or even children at all, you have to be very flexible, because your plans are there, but they can be twisted by anything. Your plans are there, but they are there just as a guide. So it's good to set your intentions for the day. During the lockdown, you have to really say, this child is going on online learning from this time to that time. This time I'll take them to play with sand at the backyard. this time, you have to pour into the children. You have to have time for your husband. So you have to really you have to have a plan. That's what I'm just trying to say. If not, your day will just go by. We are in August 2020, and sometimes you can look back and say, where did all the months go to? What have I done this year? There are people that you can say, what have I done this year? But if you set your intentions for this month, like sometimes, like this 31st of August, I'm like, hey, there's something I must send to my supervisor before we enter 31st of July, before we enter 1st of August. I sent it 11 p.m. I know that the man will not read it, but the fact that at least I've sent it this weekend, I was able to say, you understand, I've achieved. What are we going to do? Let's order pizza. Let's celebrate. Like I did what I wanted to do last month. He replied and told me that he will read it on Monday. Of course, I know he read it on Monday, but me, I know that I did my own 31st July before we enter 1st of August. I've just done my own. So that feeling of small celebration here and there is very important, because if you are just waiting until you've achieved everything, you find out that you burn out. So these are some of the tips I have. Then T is to tame our weaknesses. Yesterday, I was not patient with my children. What can I do better today? You understand? Yesterday, yesterday I was on Facebook for too long. What can I do better today? Social media is a thief. You understand? It steals time, honestly. I was even telling my husband that this August, I will not uninstall WhatsApp. He now said, I'm not serious, that if I uninstall WhatsApp, Instagram will come up. That is not the solution. I should find a way. You understand? So you have to really tame. No matter what, there's a way you can improve yourself. What are your weaknesses, your excesses? Last month I did this, yesterday I did that. How can I perform better? Then E is the time to express. These are the things I like, a sort of declaration for the day. Oh, by the end of 2020, I'm going to publish 2 papers. Physically it does not look like it, but be telling yourself, because these things are what will fuel you, and it might look like it will not come to pass, but that's how some people will say, how are you coping this lockdown? I'm like, hey, this lockdown favored me. I'm making progress every day, and somehow I've seen that somehow you are making progress because you said so. So that positive energy, you need to really carry it around you, and that is an elegance. Then the last point is that when I met Thy Precious Joy, one of the things I learned is that accept easy life. You understand? Ease and elegance. I put it in front of me. It must not be suffer head that everything has to be stressful. So there's this intuition inside of us. God can make things easy for us. So let's really learn as women to my success can be replicated through these things that I practice. So let's really learn to accept ease. And sometimes people say, it's not easy. I'm like, yes, it's not easy, but it's easy. You understand? I try to declare to people that it's easy for me. You understand? So that is not easy. I'm tired. I'm this. Those things don't take anybody anywhere. The same energy I didn't say it's not easy. Why not just say, God has engraced me. I am smart. I'm strong. I'm bold. So these things might sound like a broken record, but actually, these are the things that we do that help us to be mom, wife, and everything, and still look as if we are putting everything together. These are the things we do on a daily basis, because it's what you do in a day that builds up to the week, that becomes the month, the year. So 2020 will come to an end. It's not just the whole of 2020, but what you did on the 1st of August, 2nd of August, that counts, that builds up and really makes impact in our lives. So I've tried to really summarize it. Yeah.
Thank you. Lovely summary. We would go on to Mama Omobi now. Yeah, so women who want more. What, in addition to what Glory has said, what can you add, ma'am?
I think Glory has said everything. The one crucial thing that I picked from what Glory said, the one crucial thing is time with God. A lot of times we think that we can run around and do things, but really you can't. Your ability, your natural ability would only help you to a particular extent. Today's topic is just amazing, and I'm sure that a lot of mothers are connected because they always ask questions. Anywhere I go, if I have any time for question and answers, this is almost the number 2 question that people ask me. How do you manage? If you want to be exemplary, how do you manage? I tell them, speak to God. God makes everything easy. He makes everything easy. Then decide what is important. Decide what is important. Everything, every step you take, when you've already spoken to God, He will give you an instruction how to remove things that are clutters from you. And there are many clutters in real life. Glory's spoken about one, uninstalling WhatsApp, uninstalling. Look, this is my personal view. There are many people who want to add you to WhatsApp group. And I'm like, what for? We were classmates 30 years ago. You want me on a WhatsApp group? What for? As in, what are we supposed to be doing? I got added to one about 5 years ago. When I wake up in the morning, there's 386 messages from total strangers. What is it for? I think I probably lasted about 2 days. First, I muted them. Afterwards, I removed myself. Now when you look at your WhatsApp, you have the power to prevent people from adding you to groups. I'm hoping the mothers who did not know that will know now. We have groups on Thy Precious Jewels WhatsApp. And there are rules and regulations on these WhatsApp groups. Nobody brings any circulated products to those platforms. So when you see a message coming on that platform, you know it's got to do with TPJ. And the people who man the platforms have been warned. You don't just go there. You go there to encourage. You go there to inform. Anything else, or just check up on your ladies. Nothing else. There are so many things keeping women, engaged and busy. If you want to get more out of life, remove those. Get rid of those distractions. But then, there is so much help available. God will lead you to some. You will search for some. Use the internet. There are many people that can do things for you. There are many things you can get for free in many parts of the world. There are many things you can get for free. Some people want to work. You want to work so that you can buy let me say, a sofa, a chair for your sitting room. There is somewhere in the world you can get it for free near you. Mothers worry about many things. I mean, in a lot of civilized countries, you will have clutters like that. Moms within your neighborhood, things that they're not using anymore. You have somebody who has a baby, and all that they want is a baby in their life. And once their baby clothes of 0 to 3 months are used, and that baby becomes 4 months, they buy another 20 for 3 to 6 months. They're looking for somebody to take that off them. Instead of you doing extra shifts to buy 0 to 3 months, you can get it for free without any strings. These are all things that God gives us. Now, I say to people, develop clusters around you. Develop clusters. We try to do that with our Precious Jewels WhatsApp group. We ask you, where do you stay? That's why I tell people, be involved. Let people know you. People are likely to help you when they know you. You may be surprised. Glory, you may be surprised. There's a jewel who lives 14 minutes from your house. And she works 3 days a week. And the remaining day she's free. Glory, you may do with 2 hours. Just sit down at home, lie on your husband's lap and talk about rubbish. Meanwhile, your children are safe with our sister. God reveals things. When you're overwhelmed, talk to him. How can I get to where I'm going? How can I get help in this regard? And as you speak to God, God shows you things. Remember when we were praying during the commanding the wind, I spoke about ways of escape that is already there. The Lord breathed, and Moses got an instruction. And what happened? The sea parted ways. The river was already, the pathway, the expressway was already at the bottom of the sea. Moses just needed to ask, what do I do? And then God gave the instruction, and they traveled on dry land. God did not just create that. He didn't say, Moses, wait, let me go and create a dry land. It was there. You asked, God gave instruction, you obeyed, it became obvious, you have easy passage. That is how it's meant to be. I use it a lot. I pray. I say, God, you want me to do this? How am I supposed to manage this and manage that? And then God gives away. Let me give you an instance. Glory would understand this. Now I'm running a mentoring group for women in ministries and pastors' wives. I argued with God about this for at least a year. I said, God, how do I add this to God, you mean business? You mean I'm gonna add this to what I'm doing? My husband says, go do it. Because if God says you should do it, you do it. And then when I met the ladies, I realized the reason why they need to be with me. And during our last meeting yesterday, I was like, oh my God, this is actually making sense now. And it's not as bad as I thought it would be, because I know they're busy, I'm busy. We try and create time. So if you're going to do more, ask God. Make sure you're doing what He has asked you to do. You're not just taking on any stupid responsibility because people believe that you can do it. A lot of people invite me to different places. A lot of them get a no. It's not because I'm nasty. It's just because I prioritize. You may like to see my face. I may not want to see what you're doing, because when you do that, you take on a lot of clutters. A lot of women, most especially Christians, we take on responsibility. You are the choir director. You are the one in charge of ushering. At the same time, when you're leaving ushering, somebody, if praise worship has finished, you are going to children's church. Why? You get home on Sunday when you're meant to be resting with your family, you're cranky. You cannot attend to your children. And then your husband is angry with you. And then you are raising prayer points. Every demon, there's no demon. You are the demon. You sort out the problem. Marriage will be fine.
Yeah.
Marriage. So if you want to do more, ask God to help. Get instructions from Him. Make sure you take on only what God has given you. People would give you things because you are doing well in what they see you doing, but that does not necessarily mean it's from God. And number 4, you are the standard. You are the standard for your life. Nobody else is the standard. I'm the standard for my life. Nobody should try and do it my way. Nobody should try and do it the way I do it. You don't even want to know how I do it. Because I'm a very lazy woman. You don't even want to know how I do it. You see? Nice. Don't let me teach you my style. So I think with this, if you walk along this with what Gloria said, and you also look at your life and look at what is guiding you, then you may be able to do more. And outcome will convince you. It will prove that you're doing it the right way, because results will follow you. That's me done.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much more. So much. If you want to do more, ask God. That's the first step. Ask God. Thank you so much. So we'll go on to our next question. And this is something, as a Nigerian, I'm sure you're familiar with, Glory. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, disruption from my people. What would you say to a woman who wants to rise and do more, but society and family say no?
This one is a GMAT. Society and family say no. Okay. I understand what you mean when you say society, because you made mention of being Nigerian, but I've really noticed that this is a global issue. Women and wanting to rise to the realms of power, authority is a global issue. It's the same in Asia, it's the same in the Americas, it's the same in Australia. I'm in a group of academic mamas, and some things I thought were unique to my culture, my country. I found out that these are global issues. And when you look at top organizations, how many women are in the realms of power? It's still the gender equality and all of that. So I love to tell women that, first of all, you should know that the world needs you. The world needs every one of us, not just one gender, but both genders. And you have something to contribute to the world. So when the people around you are being resistant, are stopping you from expressing that which is within you, I would say practically, to actually find ways that they can accommodate you. First, you know, you may want to do something very massive, and society says, your family says, no, don't start that NGO. Before you think of starting an NGO, they could just be a child, something informal you can start. Many times you want to build a castle overnight. They could just be children on your streets. You want to help. You can even sponsor a child far away through one of these international NGOs without you being directly involved in it. So first of all, find ways you can do this without standing in the face of your family. Like Mama gave an example of in one of the groups that they discussed, a woman, she's been rising her career and she just got married, and her husband says, oh, you're now pregnant, you should stay at home. So in that case, she cannot just revolt against the husband and have issues in her marriage. When he says stay at home, she has to really now be like discuss and have a compromise. Okay, while I stay at home, can I work from home? What can I do? What kind of job can I do from home? What kind of business can I do from home? So we should not just be out there like trying to be so ambitious that we also lose our families when our families are not with us. So prayerfully as well. I've really learned the value of prayer. If I have a desire in my heart, it is put there by God. And if God put that desire in me, God will give me the support system and God will show me how to express that purpose. Some people say, I want to do this. I have a great purpose. Start in the place of service. That's what I'm trying to say. Start in the place of service where you might not be known. The place of service where you are not directly involved. So when your family sees that you are still ongoing with this thing, you gradually melt their hearts. You gradually and achieve what you are doing, you know, in little ways, in little increments. So if they say, don't start an NGO, I don't want you doing this, what other ways can you express yourself? Is it through my money? Is it through my time? Is it through my talent? You don't have to be physically there doing this thing the same way, the same way they said you should not do it, so that you don't cause problems. One of my friends posted something on Facebook, a letter to her daughter saying, oh, I don't mind you sitting at the table alone few years to come without a man. You should not bring down yourself. So I was fine with that. But I see a kind of narrative being sold to the next generation that family is not important. Your ambitions are okay, just keep going. Society, it's don't mind what people are saying, don't mind marriage. You don't have to, you know, there's this kind of negative connotation given to a woman rising. And I wrote in that post that there are good examples of women that did well with their husbands supporting them, their husbands not even known. We should empower the next generation on these examples that you can do well. You don't have to lose one aspect of your life for the other to thrive. So if your husband says you are pregnant now, don't work, you can tell him, okay, when can I start working? Is it after having the baby? He may have good reasons for doing that. Maybe he has experienced women having difficulty during pregnancy and he wants you to have some rest, you know. So don't just come on the notion that this man, this father, this mother does not want me to do this because they don't want me to excel. Many times they have reasons for doing that. So really dialoguing with them and finding a compromise will help us to rise. So I must say, when you're having children, you have to ask yourself, what do I do differently? And to you, it might look like there is no harm. But if to another person that is your support system might say, oh, you are going this too far in this, you have to cool down. And sometimes as ambitious women, especially women going into academia, they are very overdriven. You want to do this at all costs. And there are women that do this, neglecting their families, neglecting their children. So we want to have a balance, a harmony. And so you need to dialogue with the people in your life, knowing that, and you can make progress gradually. Dialogue with them, know what you can give out as a compromise, and be comfortable with making progress gradually. You will eventually be all of that. So before I turned a certain age, few years ago, I was so like driven. I want to do this before I'm this age. I want to do that before I'm, you know. But a time came, I saw that, Glory, you still have time. you still have time to do this. There are things to focus on now. As Mama said, you need to understand what is your focus now. If at this point in time I want to put rocks, there's an analogy of a professor saying you have rocks, you have stones, you have pebbles. I want to put all of them in my cup right now. The most important thing might be missed. So if you're just having a baby and they say, no, you should not work now, you should rest, then ask, okay, when can I start working? That puts you the near future in view, and you know that you are still going to express yourself soon. Then I would like to use an example too. After I had my first child, and I had just finished my first program, while I was at home, I went into online courses. That is what actually made me change from a fisheries career path into climate change. I went into online courses while I was at home. I was not working. I was just there at home nursing my baby. And that time would have been a time that I would just say, oh, I'm not allowed to work. If that was the case, I'm not allowed to work, and I'll be feeling bad and quarreling about it. But I found online courses. I started to take online courses at home while nursing my baby. Baby is on the breast. I put a video, I'm watching. That's how I learned about climate change and sustainable development. And I decided that, wow, I would like to take another program in this. By that time, the baby was a year plus, old enough to go to daycare and childcare, and then I could continue with my career. So we have to really understand times and seasons. And that sometimes our family, they're not really saying these things out of harm. They just want you to take things gradually, because women can really be overdriven and miss out on the important things going on in their lives currently. So I hope I've been able to give some ways that you can navigate such situations.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you so much. And I like the point about, and it takes other people really to tell you or to let you know that, this ambition it's a good thing, yeah, to have a desire, but maybe your drive is just a bit too much. And if you're not listening to people around you who God has put as umpires, if you see them as the enemies of progress, then you just run roughshod over them and, achieve what you want to achieve, but at what
costs?
At what costs? What costs? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I would like Obita to answer the next question, which, given the way Glory has ended, is a very good transition to the next. What suffers when women aim for goals, and what prospers when women make the decision to go higher? So it's a two-pronged question, but
yeah.
Okay, no
one A, one B.
What
when women aim
women
for the top, that's the first.
The truth is that the answer to that question is dependent on what goal you have. I believe that a woman can have it all. I believe so. And I believe that was what and how God intended for it to be. The problem comes when you're carrying what you're not meant to be carrying. If you think about it, that God designed the human body to function without interruption. From the day you were born till the day you die, your heart is meant to be at a rhythm. The problem comes when the heart takes on extra. When people come in to see me and they say, Dr. Jeffries, I'm very breathless, I make sure their heart is okay. I make sure that, their lungs are okay. And then the next thing I say to them, are you giving your heart extra work to do? And most of them, and they're like, no, I'm not. And then you ask, what is your weight? And they've put on 14 kg since lockdown started. You see, that heart was not destined to have a problem. But the capacity of that heart was meant to serve a 68 kilograms body. Now that body is 82 kilograms. So the heart would complain. So what are the things that should suffer? If you do it the way God wants it to be done, nothing should suffer. And then if you pray that when you're taking on excess, God should stop you, put that in place before you start, so that God can curb you when you go through your excesses. But now, because a lot of people who are listening to me things are already suffering, and that is what I'm supposed to talk about. The first thing that suffers is you, because you're trying to grope with everything. Your physical body, you start developing symptoms of too much pressure within yourself. At times you have breakouts in your skin. At times you put on weight. At times you lose weight. At times you're depressed. At times you're anxious. These are all things you suffer in yourself. Then the people around you, the important people in your life, start to suffer. Your spouse can suffer. You don't have the time with them. They're missing the fellowship. The children suffer because you're driven. You want to give them money. You want to give them things, but you cannot give them things at the same time be there for them. So the important people in your life suffer. Other purposes in your life may suffer, because you were not just created to be a professor and that is the end of it. You were not just created to get MBA and that is the end of it. No. There are so many. A woman is multifaceted. You have several things going on at the same time. So these things can suffer. Your salvation can suffer. Because when you are this busy with other things, you're numb spiritually. God is trying to get your attention, but you don't have any time to listen. So you start to take on things that are not of God. And it's very easy for this to happen. Then, what is the second part of the question? The second part of the question, Toyin.
Yes, sorry, I was on mute. So what prospers when women make the decision to aim for the top?
A lot. In yourself, you feel accomplished. You feel good. Oh God, it feels good. When you're like, I want to do my master's in law, and you get it, you feel good. Your self-image, your self-assessment of yourself, it's just fantastic. The second thing, if you've been focused on the right things and you're aiming for the right goal, whatever goal you are aiming and you do not benefit from it, oh gosh, you are a slave to it. So if, for instance, you want your master's, you want your PhD, it must improve your quality of life. If it doesn't improve your quality of life, you've wasted time and they've cheated you. So if at least the children cannot have you, they should have your money. I know men who will say, look, I don't have time, I'm going to work. Their children fly first class. What's the point in you not being available and we don't see money? Your children, your family are losing on all ends. So my dear sisters, if you're going to go ahead and do that postgraduate course, can you please face it and get it done? If we can't see you, let's see your money. I believe that. And the other thing is that your generation will see that you have done the best that you can do. If you're a child of God and you're listening to me, God will be proud when you go to that higher level, if that was the plan he had for you. I believe in one thing. You tend your garden, your own garden. So if God intended for you to get to that level and you get there, heaven has ticked it as approved. If you're doing your postgraduate because somebody else next door did theirs and you want to prove a point, when you finish that, my dear sister, you will go back and start selling gari, which was what you were meant to do and excel in. So there are lots of benefits that come from it. Benefit to yourself as a person, benefit to the important people in your life, benefit to the society. Hopefully, if you're doing masters, you're doing PhD, you are doing whatever you're doing, you're following your career. Yes, the society must be able to benefit from it. Like Toyi said earlier on, or was it Glory who said it? You know, you start a charity, children must be reached, poor people must be helped, all these things. Without us reaching our goals, if we're all just mediocres, nobody would do anything outstanding. And the world would be such a boring place with a lot of opportunities missed. So there's a lot of good things in going ahead and following your purpose in life. Now, I need to stop here and just dwell a little bit on something that Glory mentioned a few minutes ago. A lot of women, because they never had this important conversation before they married, they're very bitter. A woman set out to do masters and be employed by a multinational company. And then your husband says, sit at home. It is very painful. My dear single sisters, I hope you're listening to me. It is very painful. And it can make that woman bitter for life. Glory said something. Okay, listen to what your husband says. And then ask him, when will I be able to go? The man says, you will go when your youngest child is 5. And then he changes his mind somewhere along the line. And he didn't think that there's any need for him to talk to you. Now, let me share an experience with you. I'm not saying you should do this. Like the warning that comes with adverts, it says, don't do this at home. Everybody's home is different, but I'll share this with you. A very close friend of mine, she wanted to become a doctor. This was her life ambition. She was clever, and she met this young man, and the young man said, I know you want to, you have all your plans and everything, but I'm a career person. I leave home like 5:30 in the morning, and I have to come back late in the evening. For us to be able to live the life that we live, for us to be able to afford all the lovely things, I need somebody to stay at home, and you should be at home with the children. Spiritually, that is best. Physically, that is best. Psychologically, that is best. And this woman agreed. A few years down the line, after the children had now left nursery, this woman wanted to go. The husband said, wait, now let them finish secondary school. You feel really pained that this has happened because you feel let down. And a lot of women are bitter, they are angry, and their husbands cannot prosper because he has broken the promise that he has given in contract with this woman. And this woman was very sad. Not too long after that, they had to relocate. They relocated to a country outside Nigeria. The relocation was due to the guy's work. And once they were there, this lady, because she was still unfulfilled, she kept asking. She kept asking. The man kept saying, don't worry, we're now in a new place, nobody to take care of the children. He kept giving excuses. I happen to be very close to the man, and I happen to be very close to the wife. And one day I said to the lady, I said, what is the update? And she said to me, God showed me in a dream, I am not meant to be a stay-at-home mom. I said to her, on my word, because I know the first person your husband will contact he will contact me. He will say, look, I'm going to report you to Omobola. I said, so now, because you have showed me that God has spoken to you, start applying. I told her, I said, start applying. My husband was looking at me and shaking his head that day. I said, start applying. Do you know what, my dear sister? She decided by that time that she didn't want to be a doctor anymore. She wanted to be a nurse. It had to be in the medical field. She started applying. A few months after she started applying, her husband got a letter saying, you need to go back to Nigeria. And this lady had applied not for a course in their country, in a nearby country. So this man received a letter saying, your stay here is over, you need to go back. So they were getting ready to go. Admission letter delivered to this woman. This woman called me. She didn't know whether to be sad or to be angry. I said, that is fine. We will now inform your husband that you have admission. Omobi, you want to kill me? I said, what is it? The worst thing he can do is fight you and carry you back to Nigeria. Inform him. Tell him what we have been planning. If he vexes, tell him that Omobi is involved. This man heard the news. You did this without telling me. Say it's Omobi. Oh, it was Omobi that said I should do it. Oh, I did not want to do it. Omobi said I should do it. Oh, he said, hey, Omobi said you should do it. Does that mean that did she pray? Did God tell her that she should do it? You should do it. My dear sisters, as we speak, this man relocated, went back to Nigeria. Because this woman already got admission, she and her children relocated to that country where she got admission. About 2-3 months after this man arrived in Nigeria, God told him, it is now time for you to resign from this job and go and do what I've asked you to do. As we speak, this man has carried his pangolo and left Nigeria. He is now living with this woman who has now finished her course, who is now a professional. And the right to live in that country was given to this woman. God has now established this man as a preacher in that country, with the wife now working full-time and the man a stay-at-home dad, doing ministry, taking care of the children. Can you see how things can go and turn around? I had to share this with you so that you don't look at just one scenario and decide that that is the end. And also to add, to the women who are staying at home, don't see yourself as a liability and don't see yourself as you know, this is the end. And also to tell the women who are working, things can change suddenly. This man was earning millions. He was the one taking care of the home. Thank God he treated that woman well. Because when things turned around and he became a stay-at-home dad, if he was the kind of man who humiliated that woman and disrespected her, by now he'd be biting his fingers. So there's a lot to gain when you reach your goal. So don't cut yourself short. If you are married and your husband says, nowhere are you going to school again, nowhere are you going to work again, my dear sister, I can only join hands to pray with you. There's not a lot I can do about it. But if you are still single, that's why you're watching this program today. So you know how to decide regarding your future. Thank you. I think I've taken quite a bit of time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. We'll just wrap up this lovely interview with, I think we've answered the very last one. So I will just ask that you share any personal testimonies you have of God's faithfulness as you stepped out, and throw in a few tips for anyone who is thinking of pursuing a PhD or pursuing, a career rise.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you see, when you have a goal and a dream, it does not mean that things will just go the smooth way. Like Joseph had a dream, a big dream. Suddenly, he started facing opposition, thrown into a pit, sent to a Potiphar's house as a servant, from there to prison. Like, it was like, as he just still had the dream, it's like, okay, you have a dream, Abby. The opposite of the dream just started to play out. So I must say that because as a woman, you chose to rise, you chose to express yourself, academic work, professional work, it does not mean that everything will always just follow line. The line will just be straight. So personally, during my undergraduate years, I had scholarships from my 200 level, federal government scholarship that they gave only 2 people in my class. I got it. I got mobile, total, my state was paying me. So it looked as if, this academic career is my path and I'm doing well. I shared this story some time ago on social media as well. So when I went for my first master's program, what happened? My state government had a pledge to support me. Suddenly, the funds did not come, and I was in the UK. I was pregnant. I already told you that a lot of new things happening around me, expecting my baby, and this course was very tedious, and I had to still do well. So it's at a point I'll say, God, is this academic career for me? Why is it that all the challenges I'm facing, it's related to this one that I've chosen to do? So as I would have just thrown in the towel then, and like, with all this, my scholarship funds did not pull through and all of that, I'm not going to do this again. So it really looked bleak, like this was not going to ever be. Sometimes I look at it that I'm doing a PhD today. I did not just arrive here like traveling on a straight path. It really was something that I had to cross mountains and swim rivers to get here. So that's really inside desire, knowing that God, my career will not go with me when I die, and knowing that God has a purpose for my academic career. And I had such clarity at the beginning. So even when I was facing this, I kept on with it, and we'll just see each challenge as a new call to a higher level of faith. So after that program, I even made a distinction with all of that. I had to let go of that degree. So the second time I said, okay, I'm now going to self-fund. So as at the time I was trying to apply for my PhDs, I'd done 2 master's programs and I did not have any certificate of any of them with me. I wanted to understand how these things, like, it was really like, it was like really moving from pit to Potiphar's house to prison, the way it happened with Joseph. And it took a lot of endurance and faith in God, knowing that God has called me on this path and I'm going to work with him. So I continued like that. And when I was applying for my PhD, I didn't have a master's certificate. Some people will say, are they going to accept? Are they going to this? But I went on to apply, and time failed me to tell you the full story. But I really saw that when God has given you a stamp of approval in something, no matter what circumstances that come your way in that path, just keep on trusting God, because things can really change in a jiffy. So really, when I applied for the PhD program, I didn't submit a master's certificate, and it's only after I'd gotten into the program. From Nigeria, from the UK, I went back to Nigeria before coming to the Netherlands. Only after I started the program, they gave me some time. This is not normal. This is not usual that you apply for something more than 1 year after you graduated and you don't have the certificate to prove that you have completed that degree. So why I brought this up is that many times our funding and academic career goes hand in hand, and sometimes I see people worried about these things. I speak with people that are wondering, how will these things be, how all of that. So really, when you want to have this goal to rise to the top, to do something, to contribute meaningfully to society, to express yourself, that there's something in you, there's something worth of value in you. You want to express yourself. The path might not be so like every other person's path. Like Mama said, you should be your own standard. So there are many times I'll look at, I want to compare myself with other people and wonder, why is my situation like really difficult? But God called me to just trust him one step at a time. So at this one, I just really want to share this to encourage someone. Are you trying to move ahead in career, in academics, in a job, in getting a certification or a degree, and it looks so like the world is against you? It may be. Mama knows a lot of my testimonies. I keep updating it. Like every time I'm like, God, yeah, calling for higher faith from me. So really, wanting to do this and do that does not just take intelligence. I'm intelligent, I'm this. The things that will come along one's path can be really like standing against you, wanting to like, you can't do this, like mountains you have to level. So there were things that happened that I knew that God, we have to pray ourselves to the next level, and it only took faith in God. So I really want to encourage us to really hold on. If God has put that, like Mama's friend, God put that medical profession in her. She did not just throw away the dream since the husband said she should not. Just keep it in your heart and keep grooming, keep praying about it, no matter the circumstances that come your way, the difficulty. In the first year of my PhD, it was really like, this PhD might not work. It really looked bleak. Suddenly, January 2020, everything all the things I was worried about just fizzled away like nothing. Just one day, just get a mail and, so I've come to see that you just have to trust God one step at a time, one day at a time. God did not give you 10-year script. He might not also give you the 10-year program, but you just need to trust it 1 year at a time, 1 day at a time, one month at a time, sometimes even 1 hour at a time. Even in parenting, you still need that trusting God. Am I doing right with these children? Because mom guilt is also very powerful, very strong, wanting to make you feel as if, hey, you want to be this, you want to be that. Your children, even sometimes people around you want to make you feel that way. So God really has to help us step by step. We have to ask for guidance in parenting, in being a wife, It's a daily growth process. So I would like to use that to summarize the session. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. This has been a wonderful, wonderful time. Thank you so much. We've exceeded our time by by 5 minutes, but I just want to leave us with these tips that Glory mentioned. Rights, worship, reflect, intention, tame your weaknesses and express. Then she also mentioned self-care is queen. You can't pour out of an empty cup. You have to fill yourself before you fill others. And of course, ask God. There's no doing any of this, rising anywhere without him. So I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who's watched, who's shared, who've called their friends to watch. I want to thank Glory for reaching out. So we called for people who would like to share in a forum like this, and she reached out to me several months ago. I want to say thank you so much for doing that. Your step of obedience has blessed so many lives and will continue to bless lives. I have been blessed, and I really want to appreciate you. And of course, I want to thank Mama Mobi for putting fire under my bum so that we can continue this series. This is the first after a long break, and we will continue by God's grace from next week. Thank you, everyone. God bless.
Thank you so much.
Amen.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.